You're watching 13 Wham ABC. And this is 13 Wham News at 6.
The cleanup continues tonight from the damage left behind from last night's violent windstorm. Utility crews working at this hour to repair power lines and restore electricity to hundreds of RG&E customers on Lee Road in Gates. 17 poles were knocked over. The wind sending trees into cars and homes, even damaging some businesses. And on Manitou Road, it was a frightening night for many people at Windsor Garden Apartments. Several power lines were knocked down by the wind, leaving neighbors in the dark. 13 Wham's Samantha Miles found that many folks who lived there actually spent the day literally trapped, unable to leave their complex. Samantha?
Yeah, work crews and traffic cones kept many at Windsor Garden neighbors trapped in their apartment complex throughout most of today. Now, that's an inconvenience to some, but a relief for some others who spent hours overnight worried about surviving. Losing power presents everyone with challenges. But for those like Arlene Scrooby, it's more than just a challenge.
It was a very harrowing evening. I was in the bathroom and the lights went out. It was like 8 o'clock. Now, for me to make my way out of the bathroom, I have to use a wheelchair and a walker.
Nice job. With a broken femur, moving around her apartment in the dark was bluntly dangerous.
I couldn't find anything. I kept banging into the walls and into my furniture until I made it to this chair because I knew where it was because the phone was here.
She made it to the couch and stayed put. Even calling for help was impossible.
I had no contact with the world at all. And I tried my emergency medical alert button, and that did not work either. I was just shocked because I didn't feel safe at all. Nothing worked. I couldn't reach anyone. I tried everything I could think of, but I couldn't reach anybody.
Relief came in the form of Scrooby's caretaker, Carrie Finzer. She had to make her way past work crews and barricades just to get to her patient.
I knew she was home alone, so I was determined to get here to check on her because she told me on the phone that she had quite a scary night.
So when that face came through the door, believe me, I was very happy to see her.
She wasn't even able to contact her family who live around the corner. And so because she was at the mercy of technology and that wasn't working.
And her caretaker says it's a good idea to still keep those medic emergency necklaces, to keep flashlights charged and ready, and to also keep cameras charged because that light can guide you to safety in another power outage, just like it did for Arlene. Live in Henrietta for 13 Wham News, I'm Samantha Miles.
All right. Hey, thank you, Samantha. Well, a second night without power, that's what RG&E has been frantically working to avoid, but that may be tough for some who lost power near Lee Road. That's where we find 13 Wham's Jennifer Lee at this hour. Jen?
Don, several power lines went down here. Crews are still working to fix what was damaged. They've been here since last night on Lee Road. Now, we're told that it's going to take a couple days to fix at this point, but RG&E is hoping to get power back on sooner than that. No power at Lexington Court. The apartment complex's community center is the only place with electricity. Diane Wilson says it's nice to have a place to warm up and plug in.
Thank God, because a lot of times if you're staying in a single house and something like this happened, we wouldn't have no place to go. If you got an emergency, the first thing you do is grab for your phone to call somebody.
RG&E says in all of this, safety is their priority. They do ask people if you see a down power line, do not go near it, do not touch it. Instead, they ask you to call RG&E or report it on their website, rge.com. Reporting live on Lee Road, Jennifer Lee, 13 Wham News.
All right. Hey, thank you, Jen. A lot of damage from the wind. The canopy of the Bolero gas station on South Plymouth also falling victim to the wind. The owner says they'll be shut down for days, if not weeks, until repairs are made. That could be tough for business. And he said it could have been deadly, though, if the situation was not handled properly.
Start making a phone call quick and give direction to employees to shut down the gas, shut down the electricity for outside, for the tanks, for that. Anything's possible to prevent fire. Gas cells is going to be shut down completely. So people not going to come over here for a lot of different reasons when they see that. and of course we're going to lose business.
Yeah, he says the winds reached about 65 miles an hour as far as he could tell last night. You can now join our 13 WHAM News team. Share your news and weather photos at burst.com/13WHAM. You can also check out photos sent in on 13wham.com.
Well, when we get a dramatic change like this, usually there's a number of elements that are in play. First was the wind, and secondly, of course, the temperature.
Rochester police investigating vandalism at a Jewish cemetery on Stonewood Avenue. At least 16 headstones there were toppled over the last few weeks. Dozens of Jewish cemeteries around the country have been vandalized.
The silver lining in all of this that I see is that more and more Americans are coming together and standing up for each other. I'm not sure if this was a hate crime or not, but in any case, we're here to show our support.
Yeah, the Muslim community showing their support for the Jewish community. If you have information that could lead to an arrest, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers. That number on the screen, 423-9300. An Irondequoit police officer is facing federal charges tonight. Prosecutors say 50-year-old William Rosica used fake emails and cyber software to stalk his ex-girlfriend who had broken up with him. They say he tried hacking into her email account and online medical records. We're told none of this happened while he was on duty. A man who police say is a serial flasher is going back to prison. 13 WHAM cameras inside court as Paul Goodrell pleaded guilty to exposing himself to 2 children inside a Victor store. James Flash joining us now from the newsroom with more on what he had to say outside court today, James.
Well, Don, those children say he stalked them around the store before the court rather. He apologized, but that's not what he said to us.
Our cameras were there as Paul Goodrell pleaded guilty. 2 11-year-old siblings say he was partially nude as he followed them around the Michaels store in Victor, at one point even bumping into one of them. Goodrell is a level 3 sex offender, most recently sent to prison for stalking children inside schools. Here he is on surveillance video. The rap sheet containing his criminal history is longer than he is tall. Then in 2010, prosecutors found a way to charge and convict him of a sexually motivated felony. Yet an appeals court cut 6 years off his sentence. He was paroled last year. After just 3 months, he was at it again. In Victortown Court before Justice Reed Holter, Goodrell appeared contrite. Asked if he had anything to say, he said, "I just apologize." Outside court, it was another matter.
Mr. Goodrell, do you have anything to say to these parents or their children?
No, thanks. Not right now. Well, it's only a penis.
Now, Goodrell was sentenced to 178 days for each of the victims, but he will serve 2.5 years for violating his parole.
Cleanup is underway at a home in Irondequoit after a tree came down on a family's kitchen during the high winds. Richard and Linda Facino were not hurt. They've lived there 53 years. They say that tree weighs about 15 tons. A tree company was actually scheduled to take the tree down, but
It should have came down yesterday, but it was too windy. We had it slated to go. The wind beat us to it.
yeah, the tree company called back today to reschedule. Facino said, never mind.
Now, today at the NFL Combine was all about running backs and offensive linemen. Yesterday was when we heard from Bills head coach Sean McDermott, but that does not mean that we stopped learning about McDermott today. So let's head out to Indianapolis now and check in with 13 WHAM Sports Director Mike Catalana. Mike?
All right, Toby, you know, when you come in here to a place like the NFL Combine, you talk to people, they describe Sean McDermott as a worker, a grinder, a focused person. A lot of people know him in the NFL, but no one knows him better than Ron Rivera, the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. The two were together in Carolina. Rivera, the head coach, McDermott as his defensive coordinator when the team went to the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago. Today we got an opportunity to talk with Rivera and asked him, and he said they were together back when he was with the Philadelphia Eagles. Many of those coaches went on to become head coaches. They had a certain something, and he believes McDermott has that.
I think Sean has those types of qualities. I think Sean's done a great job in terms of the staff that he's put together. I mean, one of the things he and I talked about was making sure in your first staff, and I didn't do this, it's something I learned, is that you have a former head coach on your staff that you can lean on and go to. Well, he hired Leslie Frazier. Sean was an impeccable note taker. Every time he and I talked about something he liked an idea, he'd write it down. I think Sean's trying to make sure he understands and does things the way they need to be done from the beginning.
Now, when Rivera took over in Carolina, he had Cam Newton, the #1 pick overall. McDermott still has a decision to make on who his quarterback's going to be. Toby?
Yeah, Mike, you mentioned that one great thing about the Combine. You're surrounded by NFL executives, reporters. You're talking to people, listening to people. What are you hearing about the Bills' quarterback situation?
That those people are talking to each other, too. And the one rumor that came out today was we know Denver has been interested in Tony Romo. A report in Denver today said if Romo were to go there, Trevor Siemian, who was the Broncos quarterback last year, could be a guy the Bills are interested in. Could be Siemian, could be somebody else, but it's a veteran, and that should clue you into the fact that there's the possibility that Tyrod could be on the move. We'll talk more about that tonight at 10 and 11. Toby?
All right, thank you, Mike. Look forward to checking back in with you later. Meanwhile, back.
And breaking news right now, part of South Avenue closed at this hour for a police investigation. This is a live picture of the scene. We're not sure at this point exactly what is going on. Police will be briefing the media at any moment. We'll have updates on 13wham.com and, of course, at 10 and 11 o'clock tonight.